In the first film, Freedom Never Dies, I gave you my side of the story. I showed you what freedom looks like to me. I told you a little bit about my group and what we are truly fighting for. I introduced you to my family so you could understand my need to protect them.
Good.
We know we have a long and difficult road ahead of us, but we remain committed to seeing this through until the end, no matter what the outcome. Because we know that freedom is something they can never truly take away from us. Why? Because freedom lives forever. What makes someone a hero? Do words like these come to mind? The Merriam-Webster Dictionary includes among its definitions a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, and one who shows great courage. Does being a hero require putting your life on the line, like a police officer? Or like a firefighter? Does a hero show great perseverance and determination, like Terry Fox? Or perhaps they take on significant personal risk to expose lies and corruption, like Edward Snowden?
Essentially, it boils down to this, in my opinion. A hero is someone who shows courage and bravery through difficult or trying times, through direct and often angry or even violent opposition, despite plenty of negativity thrown their way, and despite the fact it may not be a popular choice, they continue to hold strong to their beliefs, to their values, because in their minds it is the right thing to do, even though it may not be the popular thing to do. That is the definition of hero that I'm going to go with for this chapter. And the next few people I'm about to introduce to you, in my opinion, they are heroes. They are modern day heroes. In the face of great opposition, they do not falter. They stand strong.
This is Jake Geesberg. Jake was at the first ever Tabor Freedom Rally and has been one of the most driven and dedicated members ever since. Everything you see here is thanks to him. The truck and trailer were his, he bought all the candy, and he brought his family along too. This man is a true patriot. Due to Jake's hard work, the fight for freedom was proudly represented by the Anti-COVID Alliance at the 2021 Vauxhall, Alberta Canada Day Parade. Be on the battlefield with a rifle in his hands, but Jake is a modern day warrior, trying his best to defend the country he loves. This is Daryl. Daryl is from a freedom group out of Lethbridge called We the People YQL. He is well-spoken and well-researched and can usually be found deep in conversation, either sharing the knowledge he has or gaining knowledge from those he is speaking to. But I'll let him tell you his story, for he can do it far better than I.
So Chris Sky came out on Sunday, May the 30th, and it was an absolutely pleasure to see him and everything. It was just absolutely wonderful. And he came out, but it was we were kind of laughing and giggling because we knew about that report, that Canada-wide warrant. Nothing was being said or anything like that. So he came and he did his speech and stuff, and there was a really good turnout, probably one of the best turnouts that I've seen our group have, and I totally credit Chris Sky for giving us that, coming out and attracting people that would have normally not come. And so we sat around and were talking and continued the protest and stuff, and there were 3 cops, I believe, that were there, and 2 of the ones that I'm told were constables, and they were really nice. They came out and asked everybody what they were doing and what's going on. And they told them, and they had no problems. They said, you're not doing anything wrong. So it was all good. And then, but there was one particular cop that I noticed. When he got out of the vehicle, he talked to some people, and he immediately walked right up to me, and he says, "I want to see some ID from you." And I go, "What for?" Because realistically, you're going to have some reason to do this. And he says, "I don't know. I just want to see some ID." So I got nothing to hide, so I could have argued with him and stuff, but we end up losing that argument all the time. So since I got nothing to hide, I pulled out my ID and I gave it to him. As I was handing it to him, I actually asked him, I said, "So am I getting some kind of a ticket or something? No mask or something?" And he goes, "Well, we'll have to see." Cool, no big deal. So he proceeded to scan it and take a picture and asked for my phone number. Handed back my ID, and I asked him as he was giving it back, "Am I getting a ticket?" And he goes, "Well, we'll have to see." And then he walked away and went up to another guy. So I had no problem. So I got on my motorbike and drove away. Never heard nothing at all until 8 days later. On Monday, June the 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning, I got a call from the gentleman that asked me for the ID. I was under the impression he might have just been a constable, but he was an acting sergeant. And he said, "I've got some really bad news for you." And he said, "I got to give you a mask violation health order ticket." And he said, "There's a couple ways we can do this. You can come down to the station, I can give it to you, or I can come out to you." So I said, "Well, it's probably a good idea for you to come out to me. I ain't really all that excited about going down there and getting a ticket." So he said, "Yeah, I can come out." And he said, "He'll be busy and he'll probably show up about noon." I said, "That's no problem." I said, "Just to give you the heads up, I will be filming it just in case you're not off guard or anything." He said, "Yeah, no problem. I've been filmed several times before. Not a big deal. It's part of my job." Good, no problem. So I proceeded to film the interaction, and it was actually, when I look back on it and look at the video and stuff, it was actually one of the most respectable, well-mannered. The city of Lethbridge Police Department has a lot to be proud of. Like, these officers and this acting sergeant did a wonderful job. There was no argumentative. There was nothing that was loud and obnoxious or anything. It was just business as usual and stuff. One of the things that was truly amazing about that whole experience was that we contacted Rebel News. And by virtue of Rebel News, although it's not been authenticated and proven, but there's people in Rebel News that are saying that I could very well have the biggest no mask ticket in all of Canada. What a badge of honor that is.
This is my grandma, Vera Jensen. You may remember her from a brief appearance in the first film. She raised 6 children, including my mother, and has some advice for present and future generations that I think you should hear.
What were some hardships that you had growing up? Like, what was life like growing up? What was the big struggle of your day? Even when you were a kid, and then maybe when you were raising a family, what were the difficult things?
Actually, when I look back at it, life was good. If our parents gave us a good upbringing, knowing right from wrong, and at that time there was a distinct line between right and wrong, and you didn't want to associate with the wrong. Well, see, I grew up in a very small town, and everybody knew everybody and knew their business, and but the parents they took their responsibilities seriously for bringing them up correctly. But now they're kind of shirking that responsibility.
What do you think is the best way for our society to get through this stuff?
Well,
through what the government's doing to us, I guess.
We know it's going to start small because there's a blanket covering the whole province of in politics and in business. If we can just keep people aware and not let them give in. Every time we give in to one more thing, that's less agency we've got. What's a good example? Well, the fact that business owners will say, sorry, I can't hire you unless you've been vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
That's none of their business anyway. And it almost encourages you to lie about it. What good would that do? But anyway, they can't take privileges away from us that belong to us. They can't take our privileges, our agency. That's what's bad. And we're voluntarily giving that if we don't do anything about it. And so I would tell people to think seriously about this. Are you really being benefited by having all these restrictions? By doing things their way? No.
See that haze hanging over the Old Man River? It's from the BC wildfires, which burn every summer. Sometimes it even surprises you there's any forest left out there. But in a way, that's also nature's way of replenishing itself, clearing out the old and the dead and bringing in the new. In some ways, that's symbolic of what's happening to our world right now. There's a haze, a smoky mist covering the land. It's like a fog that hangs over everything. COVID-19 and the supposed safety of our people drug us down this road. And now we can all feel it, can't we? That haze hanging in the air, that sense of almost impending doom or dread. You all know what that is. Some of us are just ignoring it, whereas others are trying to take it on, face first, head on. Now, I don't mean to criticize anybody, for I haven't exactly done everything that I could have done either. The good part is that it's not too late. It's not too late. If we stop the compromises that got us here, we can stop this whole train from rolling. It's time for the people to stand up. Guys, your government doesn't care about you. They care only about themselves and their pocketbooks and their bank accounts and their buddies sitting up in the corporate offices. That's what they care about. And you know that. If you look inside your heart, you know that. You know they're not looking out for your best interest. They're just looking for more ways to control you, more ways to deceive you, manipulate you. Guys, this is the people's time now. There are good people rising up everywhere, all across this nation and all across this world.
rising up together as one and saying enough is enough. We want our freedoms back. We want our children's futures to be better than they're looking right now. Stand with us. Fight back. That's what this chapter is all about. Fighting back.
This is a speech I gave where I announced plans for a brand new freedom fighters coalition called the People's Alliance.
When we first formed a freedom group in the small farming community of Tabor, our objective was clear. We wanted to provide an opposing voice to the manipulative COVID-19 narrative we were being fed by our government and mainstream media outlets. This was how we settled upon our original moniker of Anti-COVID Alliance. Our groups have had to change and adapt on a consistent basis to keep our message relevant, and especially so over the summer months as the mask mandates and lockdowns were lifted. Some felt there was nothing left to protest anymore. Others felt the protests weren't accomplishing anything and we were fighting a losing battle. But we did not give up because we believe differently. We believe that the lifting of these restrictions is only temporary, and that this is just a means of furthering a socialist agenda for this country. We also believe that protests do accomplish something, as they have been our method of bringing like-minded people together for the common cause of individual rights and freedoms. This brings us to the one question that I am most concerned with finding an answer to. How can we put an end to a government dictatorship that is close to seizing total control? I believe we need to come together as freedom groups and as a unified movement with the same goals in mind. Courage is contagious, and if the outside world can see that our movement is catching on, then I believe many more people will be influenced to join the fight. That is why I propose that each and every freedom group come together under a People's Alliance, that we work together, that we support each other, and that we send a clear message to the rest of the world that human beings deserve our freedoms and we will settle for nothing less.
And so it was that the Anti-COVID Alliance became the People's Alliance. We first spoke to our friends in the Lethbridge We the People group and brought them on board with us. Members of both the Tabor and Lethbridge groups then traveled to the picturesque little village of Scandia to meet at the Coffee Barrel Cafe, where we hoped to solidify the freedom movement in southern Alberta. We brought our friends from the Brooks group on board with us as well. Making the People's Alliance truly one big family of freedom fighters.